Two of your favorite worst people in the video?
Here with
Oh,
me
yeah,
now
I
is
saw
US
this.
Border Patrol.
Dana Fash cooked Bovino a little bit. You know what's crazy? If he was wearing Israeli gear, she would literally be nicer to him. How many interviews has CNN conducted under similar circumstances with like an Israeli military commander where they just let him say whatever they want? Just something to consider, okay? Just something to think about.
I want to go back to one of the videos, and I know you can see it there, and I want to ask you about what you're seeing, because multiple angles of this incident show him holding up a cell phone and recording it, not a gun. Did he at any point pull out his weapon?
Dana, good morning, and thanks for having me. The weapon, and we do know that the suspect did bring a weapon, a loaded 9mm high-capacity handgun, to a riot. We do know that. As far as what happened in that intervening moment with the video that you just showed, that's going to come to light through the investigation. That's being investigated, and those facts and those questions will be answered soon enough.
Okay, but the Homeland Security Secretary is not waiting for that investigation to take place before saying that Alex Preddy was, quote, brandishing a weapon. Let's go to video 7, because, of course, you know this far better than I. The definition of brandishing is waving or flourishing something, especially a weapon, as a threat or an anger and excitement. That's just a still photo of what Alex Preddy appears to be holding. There is nothing that we have seen that showed him as.
Remember, this is brandishing.
Secretary Noem said.
Dan, I think what we need to take a look at here is.
Dude, the Greg Bovino's voice is always so crazy to hear. Every time I hear his little baby voice, like his little nerd voice, I'm reminded all over again that he has this like teeny tiny man voice, like actually.
The suspect decided to inject himself into a law enforcement action. What's not being said here is the fact that Border Patrol agents and law enforcement were conducting a targeted law enforcement effort against a violent, illegal alien.
Well, you said yesterday that this looks like a situation where the individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement.
Yeah.
What evidence do you have that he wanted to massacre law enforcement? Because all the videos that we have, and I do want to, we just have a still shot up now, but I do, control room, want to play one of the other videos. Let's play video number 1 again. It doesn't look anything like he's trying to massacre law enforcement. In fact, he was filming, and then it looked like he was trying to help another individual there who was pushed down by law enforcement, and then they went after him.
In fact, I believe that the fantastic training that our law enforcement partners have, the fact that they're highly trained, prevented any specific shootings of law enforcement. So good job for our law enforcement in taking him down before he was able to do that. And again, Dana, let's look at why he was there.
Dude, I don't think this is going to work, man. I don't know. I don't think this is going to work, because like Americans can justify this kind of action if it goes along racial boundaries. Like if it's like an unarmed black teenager, there are still going to be like a much larger percentage of Americans that automatically go, nope, they deserved it. If it's an undocumented migrant, they'll say, nope, they deserve it. But we're talking about like a VA nurse and a guy who was a legal gun owner. Like, that's crazy. I mean, the point that I was making yesterday is like a government that justifies killing a white dude that is a VA nurse, that is a lawful gun owner. That government's going to justify killing everybody, because that's it. Who else? Like, this is the type of person that every single Republican American fancies themselves as being. It's over at that point. They'll justify killing every single person. This is what I said. If you think this admin won't kill anyone without a problem, you're delusional. Wake the up.
Terrence Lee Randolph, March 30th, 1947, December 10th, 2024. Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served, so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render our honor and our gratitude.
Yeah, they called this guy a terrorist, dude. This guy is literally the most patriotic American, man. And I don't mean like the fake patriotism represented by the sloppiness on the right, okay? I'm talking like a real-ass patriot, brother. What the fuck? A part of the community, wants to defend his neighbors. Guy with a job, like a real job, not this like fake ICE jobs. Like a real-ass job.
In the first place, was he simply walking by and just happened to walk into a law enforcement situation and try to direct traffic and stand in the middle of the road and then assault, delay, and obstruct law enforcement? Or was he there for a reason? Did he fall victim to that violent and heated rhetoric by a Mayor Fry, a Governor Waltz? Look, Dana, they're trying to portray Border Patrol agents and ICE agents as Gestapo, Nazi, and many other words. Did this individual...
Dog, we're not doing that. You're directing them to make us feel like that. Because they are, bitch. You also love wearing the Nazi gear. Like, you don't even act like you don't do it on purpose. Manlet. Little tiny manlet Nazi. Also, bro hit the Gestapo, too. Like, he hit that shush. Dana, I'll have you know we are not the Gestapo. I mean, why are you calling me a Gestapo? Is that how you say it, Dana? I'm sorry. Nein! Ich kann nicht glauben! Wir are not the Gestapo! We are far better! Where are your papers, Dana? I'm sorry. I meant, I love America. I don't know where that came from. I just, let me go back to my Ted Cruz impersonation. That's crazy. We're cool, right? Forget about that other thing that I was, that just came out of me.
To interact with law enforcement is when they went after him when he was trying to help an individual who law enforcement pushed down. So where do you have the evidence to show that he was trying to impede that, that law enforcement operation?
Sure, Dana, first he was there in the scene. He was in the scene actively impeding and assaulting law enforcement to the point.
But that's not illegal. He wasn't impeding
It's
it.
literally court-protected action. Not only is it totally legal, but the court also reinforced the legality of it recently.
He was filming it, which is a legal thing to do in the United States of America.
Dana, let's don't freeze frame adjudicate this now. He was there for a reason, and that reason was to impede law enforcement to the point.
What evidence do you have of that?
And here's a good point, Dana, is the fact that de-escalation techniques were utilized during this action. Those de-escalation techniques, whether it was physically trying to remove them from that law enforcement scene, that active law enforcement scene in which law enforcement were going after a violent illegal alien, or the use of pepper spray, which is another de-escalation technique. Those techniques did not work. Officers always try to use the minimum amount of force necessary to either effect an arrest, which in this case was more than likely 18 U.S.C. 111, assault on a federal officer, or
Where did he
obstruct.
Where did he assault a federal officer in any of the video that you have seen? Because it looked to us from every angle, sir, that he was approached by them when he was helping another individual who was pushed down. What evidence do you have that he was assaulting any law enforcement?
Dana, we don't need a suspect's help in an active law enforcement scene.
When you say suspect, what is
we
he
didn't ask
suspected
his
of?
help. That's an active law enforcement scene. He knew that was an active law enforcement scene, especially when the officers approached him, and it's very evident he did not need to be where he was. And he
when somebody
on his own to stay there.
So when somebody is pushed down and a person's instinct is to help that person, when somebody's pushed down by law enforcement, you're saying that you just stand back and let law enforcement do what they're doing? Right. I mean, is that really human nature?
You know, Dana, every situation is different. What our officers are faced with here in Minneapolis are chaotic, very difficult and violent situations in which individuals, and this suspect is not the only one to bring a loaded weapon to a riot. The situations are chaotic and ever-changing. Follow directions for law enforcement. Don't inject yourself knowingly beforehand into a law enforcement situation.
With respect, it feels as though in some ways you're blaming the victim here.
I appreciate this coverage, but I do think it's allowed because it's too much. That's why. It's too much. They're not going to... Dude, CNN has the capacity to have like Scott Jennings on and normalize some of the stuff that Trump is doing, but like there is definitely a level, and they went beyond the level of what is permissible, and they just keep pushing it. But yeah, the question was like, why is CNN actually doing contentious adversarial journalism here? Why are they doing pushback? And the reason for why is because this is like, it's gone above and beyond. That's why.
The victims are the Border Patrol agents. I'm not blaming the Border Patrol agents. The victim are the Border Patrol agents. The suspect put himself in that situation. The victims are the Border Patrol agents there.
When the agent took the gun away, which it seems as though it was Preddy's gun, that happened before Preddy was shot. Why was an unarmed man shot multiple times by law enforcement, by your Border Patrol agents?
Dana, you don't know he was unarmed. I don't know he was unarmed. That's freeze frame adjudication of a crime.
Wow, this is great. This is a great response, sir. Freeze frame adjudication, Dana. Why are you doing freeze frame adjudication, Dana? Over and over again. No, it's good. This is good, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. You're really doing a good job defending this situation. How else are we supposed to analyze the incident, man? What the are you talking about? Also, letting the video run its course doesn't exactly favor your side of the argument either. It just shows a bunch of assholes, a bunch of violent thugs brutalizing anyone they can get their hands on. He basically keeps saying, like, ignore your eyes. Ignore what you see in front of you. Stop believing the eyes and the ears. Stop it, Dana. We will investigate ourselves and find no wrongdoing. All he has to do is say Preddy was wearing a keffiyeh, should be fully on board. Bro, I'm not kidding when I say this. Like, I've seen CNN do less contentious interviews with Israel, like with Israeli guys that are doing, if not more violence than, but the same kind of violence that Bovine Bovino is doing, with Dana being much, much more pliant.
Both the police chief in Minneapolis, O'Hara, and Governor Walz say Preddy was legally licensed to carry a concealed weapon. So are you saying it's not okay for him to exercise his Second Amendment right, not to mention his First Amendment right to be there in the first place, but his Second Amendment right to carry a gun? And if you do, you can be shot by federal law enforcement?
No, I didn't say that, Dana. I never said that. What I'm saying is we respect that Second Amendment right, but those rights don't count when you riot and assault, delay, obstruct, and impede law enforcement officers, and most especially when you mean to do that beforehand.
How do you know that?
When you mean to do that beforehand, when you show up to an active crime scene, don't leave the crime scene, and you're armed, then you've got the decision-making process for that individual doesn't seem to be very good. Now, back to the Second Amendment. What you're saying about the Second Amendment is peacefully protesting with firearms. Absolutely, I've done that myself, and fully support that, but not when you perpetrate violence, obstruct, delay, or obfuscate Border Patrol in the performance of their duties in an active crime scene.
There's no evidence that he was perpetrating violence. And there's no evidence, unless you have it, and we'd love to see it if there is, that he was intending to massacre.
I'm telling you, man, it's just they can kill anybody they want. And it's very clear that they're not going to back down. So if all you got in counter to this kind of shit is to just say, please stop, please stop, please stop over and over again, then they're just going to keep doing it. We need punishments. We need punishments. We need punishments.
He was carrying a gun, which in Minneapolis is legal.
I didn't say it wasn't. And I didn't say it wasn't legal.
So then what did he do that was illegal?
Assault federal law enforcement when he does that. That's an active law enforcement crime scene.
Where do you see in the video that he was
decided to enter into?
Where do you see in the video that he was assaulting law enforcement? Because from everything we have seen, law enforcement was assaulting him when he was there trying to help another individual.
Dana, law enforcement doesn't assault anyone. Follow directions of law enforcement. Follow directions of law enforcement in an active crime scene. It's very evident he didn't want to do that. Very evident that the other individuals didn't want to do that. And it's too bad the consequences had to be paid because he injected himself into that crime scene. I can't say that enough. He made the decision to go there. We didn't make the decision to talk to him. We didn't even know that individual was in existence until he came into that crime scene.
I want to go back to video number one, because you keep saying that he injected himself into the crime scene. He was a guy on a street filming an operation. He was far away. He wasn't on the crime scene. And what I want you to see again is that law enforcement appears by the video we have to be approaching him and the person who is next to him, not the other way around. And so what I want to know is, what evidence do you have that he went after?
Bro, every now and then I see these motherfuckers actually do like real contentious reporting. And for a brief moment, I'm like, hell yeah, that's awesome. But then I'm reminded, like, so you have this tool in your tool belt, you just choose not to use it. Like, this shouldn't be a unique incident. I want to take the W, and I will take the W. It's great. I'm glad that Dana Fash is doing the right thing in this situation. They see the tide shifting, and that's great. But, like, why don't you bust this open more frequently? They only have this level of smoke for, like, Bernie. You know what I mean? They only have this level of contentious reporting prowess when it's someone who's like, we should just not give unlimited funds to Israel and instead, I don't know, fund healthcare or something. And they're like, wow, how dare you say that? How will we pay for it? You're right. It's a shame that you could literally apply this level of New York Times criticism to Israel, but twice since the start of the year, federal officers have gunned down protesters in Minneapolis with cell phone cameras rolling, and twice Trump and his lieutenants have essentially told the American people, don't believe what you see with your own eyes. It is kind of wild to see the New York Times do this when Israel does it, they literally will go, don't believe your lying eyes. It is kind of strange to me that Bovino is operating like he's a free man, though. He's moving like there will be no punishments. We can't be letting these guys feel and act like that. Okay, I'm sorry. Like, what the fuck? I do think this is, again, a little bit on the Democrats. Like, they're not even entertaining mobilizing people around like what kind of punishments they'll dish out for every single one of these pieces of shit, these Nazi cocksuckers. You know, they shouldn't be so comfortable. I think. He won't be seen in the crowd, so we can't catch him. No, actually, he will be seen in the crowd. You want to know why? Because he has a specific Praetorian guard of manlets that are shorter than him. I've seen it. Like he has a Praetorian guard of like 5'3" people, so that he as a 5'4" guy looks taller in comparison. Straight up. That's real. Look it up.
Dan, I don't think you would want to be in the middle of a crime scene, or you would want civilians in the middle of a crime scene injecting themselves.
Yeah, bro, it becomes a crime scene when ICE is there. That's kind of the problem, don't you think? That's the whole problem. That's the only problem. These streets are not crime scenes before you got there, before your thugs got there. This cannot be the principled stance where, listen, wherever my agents are, it's a crime scene because they'll kill people, okay? And that's just what it is. You just have to move out of the way. You have to run around. You have to run away. You see him, you got to run away. We'll kill you.
Yeah, again, the officers on the ground, in that melee, we hear gun, gun, gun. So that gun at some point became visible to officers.
But could it have been because they had him on the ground and maybe his shirt came up and they saw that it was on him? That doesn't mean that he was.
And that is why we have an investigation, Dana.
Fine.
That is what we are investigating. You're not going to know that now, and I'm not going to know that
I think an
now.
investigation is great, but the Homeland Security.
Dude, I love when these guys also go, well, that's speculating. What you're doing is speculating, which is quite different than my speculation, which is right. You should speculate in the direction that I'm speculating in, as opposed to speculating off of what you can see with your eyes and hear with your ears. Okay? That's literally it. He's mad because the video very clearly shows one reality, and he doesn't want that reality to be the reality. So he's like, don't speculate now. We'll conduct an investigation. It's like, bitch, you're the one who's speculating. And if both parties are speculating in either direction, I think Dana Fash is speculating in the correct direction.
The secretary said he was brandishing a weapon. Do you have evidence that we haven't seen?
Hasan, this tweet is coming back.
He brought a semi-automatic weapon to a riot, assaulted federal officers, and at some point,
bro, dude, they're doing all the shit that gun guys hate, by the way. Not only is this like fundamentally an anti-2A position, obviously, like, oh, you have a gun, that means you can always be killed. But he's also trying to do the this is something that liberals do, man. Liberals would be calling a handgun it is a semi-automatic weapon, yes. But you're making it seem like it's a much less common piece of gear than it actually is. Like, it's a 9mm handgun, and you're like, oh, it's a semi-automatic weapon of mass destruction that he brought to this field of battle with one goal in mind. It's an ICE-issued firearm. He's making it seem like this was a tactical nuke. Isn't this exactly what gun guys hate, by the way? Like gun guys hate when you call an AR-15 like a long gun, like a long barrel rifle, right? They're like, "Wow, what do you mean? It's just you're just trying to make it scarier than it actually is." It's like that's exactly what he's doing. It can still kill an ICE officer though. So can a heart disease. True. Like, what's the argument? It can kill an ICE officer. Yeah, that's what guns do. So what is the point then? Then there should be no Second Amendment. Is that your argument? Are you anti-2A now? Are you Mr. Anti-Gun now? What's going on? Are the Republicans looking so many boots that they've decided actually the one thing that they would stand on normally, it turns out they're not on board with at all. Like even the NRA is against them. The sentiment from the first assistant U.S. attorney for Central District of California is dangerous or wrong. Responsible public voices should be awaiting a full investigation, not making generalizations and demonizing law-abiding citizens. If you approach law enforcement with a gun, there's a high likelihood they will be legally justified in shooting you. Don't do it. Everyone knows the NRA is Antifa. I mean, the reality is like they are trying to find like a Asmongold style middle ground here, where they like obviously have to be the pro 2A institution, but they obviously can't aggressively criticize the government too much, right? They have to say yeah base, but there's only so much yeah base thing you can say in this circumstance. They're gonna start calling it an assault pistol. Yeah, it's specifically an anti-ICE assault pistol.
You keep saying that he assaulted a federal officer, but again, we have not seen evidence that that happened. It looked like he was on the defense, and again, he had a gun legally. It's sort of feels like we're in the upside down, where we have law enforcement and conservatives who are very pro Second Amendment saying the problem was that he had a gun legally.
No, the problem is, as I said several times now, is he injected himself. He put himself where he did not need to be. He put himself in and put law enforcement officers in jeopardy through his actions. These were his actions, not law enforcement officers' action. We had to react to an individual that came there for a specific reason. And again, what that reason is, we're going to find more out about that in the coming days. I'll be interested to see what his reason for being there, while Border Patrol agents were arresting a violent, criminal, illegal alien doing their lawful, ethical, and moral duties in Minneapolis.
This is another one of the major lies that I despise, that I routinely talk about, routinely address, but like ICE has no operational capacity to apprehend, like, you know, criminals in the process of doing crimes and shit like that. That's not their job. That's not their jurisdiction. Their job is to apprehend people who are in violation of civil offenses. The real criminals that they apprehend, they get from the prisons. So whenever you hear the worst of the worst, when Trump is talking about the worst of the worst, those are people who are in prison. As in, those are people who are undocumented or documented migrants who have done a heinous crime, and lo and behold, and it might be really shocking for a lot of people, the American law enforcement have arrested them. American prosecutors have investigated and set up a case against them. The American courts have found them guilty of these crimes, and now they're actually serving the time for the crime that they've committed. That is who those people are, the worst of the worst, that Trump always loves talking about. Those are the people that ICE goes after to pad the stats to make it seem like they're actually apprehending these like criminal migrants that are an ever-present danger. And the reason why I say it's padding the stats is because those people are not criminals that have done a crime this year or last year or the year prior. They're apprehending people from the prisons. They're taking people out of the prison system that have been in prison for like 10 years at this point. You know what I mean? Just to say, look at how many people are doing crimes.
Is the agent or agents, is it your understanding that more than one agent fired a weapon at Alex Preddy?
Again, that's going to be part of the investigation. I'm not going to speculate on how many shots or who shot or that type of thing because I don't know.
Are the agents who were involved still on the job?
Yes. They're, these Border Patrol agents are going to more than likely be on administrative duty. But they will remain Border Patrol agents. Yes.
What does that mean? So they'll be off the streets for a bit?
Not in Minneapolis, they will, but only in Minneapolis here. They'll be at a different location.
Okay. And before
they're gonna go kill people in Maine now. You know, awesome. Thank you, dude. This is literally cop shit. If you're a cop watcher, if you've been around, if you've been doing this is not your first rodeo, a lot of similarities with the way that local law enforcement operates here.
I want to button up one point that you were making about what Alex Preddy was doing there. Do you accept that it is the law that an individual has a right to film what law enforcement is doing?
I believe that all citizens of the United States have those First and Fourth Amendment rights as long as they do so peacefully and don't.
No, you don't. He literally does not believe that. Like, fundamentally, the entire job of an ICE agent falls apart when you recognize that every American has a Fourth and First Amendment right. That is the biggest lie he has told so far. As a matter of fact, this interview is being conducted in the aftermath of a person's Fourth and First Amendment rights being violated so ruthlessly and being killed in the process.